Welcome to another episode of Two Curious Podcast. I'm Chao Ming,
I'm Dana.
and today we have with us Sergio all the way from Bahrain. So tell us more a bit about yourself and what you do, Sergio.
Hi guys. Well, like you said, I am from Bahrain. In the daytime, I'm a graphic designer. I've have around 10 years now working in the field, and I also own a board games coffee shop here in Bahrain. So people come in and play board games at the place. It's fantasy themed, and for everyone who enjoys video games and fantasy shows and stuff like that. And I also have a podcast as well, which I started around 6 months ago or something like that.
Oh, okay. So maybe you
That's
can tell us
cool.
what your podcast is about.
Well, my podcast is mostly about topics, philosophy, spirituality, history, sometimes conspiracy theories and stuff like that. So it's just there to challenge people's, already established beliefs and stuff like that. So I present ideas to them. I don't delve too deep into evidence and stuff like that, but I just tell them there's this thought that some people believe in something like that. So, what do you think? Or there's something like that, or the government is hiding this or stuff like that. So it's just to kind of spark imagination and people questioning what's going on and their reality and stuff like that.
Oh, that's really interesting. What is it called?
Yeah. It's called Paradigm Shift. And the name of Paradigm Shift came because I kind of believe that we are sort of on this verge of a very big spiritual awakening that is happening around the world. You can see people are just the protests and riots everywhere, unlike any time before, because people can no longer accept a ruling class over them. So you feel people are naturally evolving into the state where we need a change happening. We need something happening. And you can also feel how everyone is at ease when talking about, psychological disorders. And when you talk about depression and anxiety and stuff, this is very different than how our parents and grandparents used to deal with topic like that. So as well as spirituality and moving away from established religions and going more into spiritual ideas and thoughts and stuff like that. So you feel this in the world. People are kind of changing their perceptions, and they're going through this, shift where the next generation and the one after it will have a much easier, discussion about topics like that, unlike, 200, 300 years ago as opposed to now.
Especially with social media.
Especially social media, exactly. If you look at YouTube and you look at Instagram, and you have these pages which have millions of followers, and every topic is spiritual and inviting people to just be as one and loving each other and stuff like that, as opposed to the divisiveness of established religions, of anything that was before. Now the whole thing is let's all be together, let's all be one, let's all come together. So yeah, even when it comes to racism, for example, and the rejection of racism that now we're seeing happen everywhere. So yeah.
Okay, so for the listeners wondering, a lot of us will be wondering, how did we come across Sergio? So the other day I was just scrolling through Reddit and I saw a post made by Sergio himself. So he wanted to speak about what was actually happening in Beirut. So I reached out to him to try to understand more about what was happening and exactly why the explosion happened, since Sergio mentioned that he has family in Beirut.
Yep.
So how is your family coping in Beirut actually?
Well, I mean, things are a little bit better now, but it wasn't at the start. My mom lives in an area where she was affected by the blast. It's not as bad as the other places. So not everything, she wasn't physically hurt or anything, but the apartment she's in, all the windows and anything, and she had the framed aluminium, she closed the balcony and stuff like that to make it into a special room. So all of them fell into the house. She was sleeping at the time. So you can imagine sleeping and waking up to that sound. and seeing everything around you shattered. She said, she called me and she said that I can't walk anywhere because there's literally glass on the floor everywhere. So she was really shaken up, and she called me at immediately when it happened. So I knew it happened before social media, before the news, because like immediately it happened, and she picked up the phone to call me, and she was like, listen, something bad happened, but don't worry, I'm safe, I'm okay. I'll call you back once I see how bad the damage is, like what just happened. So I was like, okay. And then I jumped on Twitter and I want to see like, okay, what happened? Anyone has any news, anything reporting? And then as always, it takes like 10, 15 minutes to kind of, you start getting the news and you start hearing other people and they talk about it. So she was really shaken up about it. Now she's better, but she kind of she still has like these moments. She calls me and she says like, I'm feeling bad. I'm sad. I feel like I'm stuck and stuff like that. Slowly trying to, put things back together.
Was she alone at home at that time?
She is alone, yes. I have a sister who lives there as well, but she lives in an area which is far. It's around an hour drive from the blast. She's heard something which she thought was an earthquake. So she didn't really pay attention to it. She just felt like an earthquake. She's like, okay. But later she realized how bad it was.
Does Beirut get earthquakes several times a year?
That's a good question,
really?
actually. Yeah, no, not really. It's like, well, I was living there because I moved there I moved out from Beirut around 10 years ago, but I visit twice a year. So I always go there. However, like I think in my entire lifetime, 3 earthquakes happened. So it's very rare, but it does happen. So it's not like out of the ordinary. It's just like something to talk about.
So maybe you can give the listeners some context about and give a short recount on what actually happened on the 4th of August, especially the explosion itself, because we are coming all the way from Singapore, and some of our listeners may not be aware of this thing that happened in Beirut.
Yeah. So basically, on August 4 at 6 p.m. local time in Beirut, suddenly, everything was fine because as of recently, like the whole area of the Middle East has been going through some turbulent problems. So you have a civil war in Syria, you have stuff happening in Iraq, you have things happening in Palestine and Israel as always and stuff like that. But Lebanon, for the first time in a very, very long time, everything was peaceful, everything was nice. So no one was expecting anything. There was no indication, there is no looming war in the future, nothing like that. And out of nowhere, this unbelievable explosion, like this explosion, we've been through civil war, 15 years of civil war. From 1975 to 1990, Lebanon had gone through the civil war. And after that, there was always this kind of, we've been trying to pick ourselves up for the past, since 1990 till 2020. And it's still not going because, things are so complicated. We'll get into that. But basically, no destruction had been this massive on Beirut as this explosion, not even during the civil war. So this came out of nowhere, and the damage, the amount of damage, because the area of where this is the main import-export port of Lebanon, not just of Beirut. So everything goes through there, and I've come to realize now that this is the 5th most advanced port in the entire Mediterranean Sea. So it was really big and it was important, and we didn't know that it was that important, So, and the way it is built, it's so close to where civilians live. It's like literally across the street. I'm not joking. Like there's the port, there's a highway, which is around 6 lanes, and then you have people living. That's it. That's where they live. And those areas are one of the ancient areas which have been in Beirut since like maybe more than 200, 300 years. Like these are really populated areas where the building is still old, but it kind of the charm of the city, so it's like it's very artistic area. Like you have all the nightclubs are there, all the pubs, artistic festivals happen there, so it's a really, really crowded place. And it's the summer, which when all these things happen now, plus coffee shops and everything. It's like, and just out of nowhere, this thing just completely exploded. We had no idea that there were material that was put there unbelievably in an unprofessional way. So basically, it's like the fault of this falls down on the government 100,000%. Like there is no denying it. There is no, this is it. It's their fault. And Lebanon is so corrupt when it comes to the government that till now, imagine it's been this is 25, 26 days later, not a single person resigned. No one took responsibility. They try to arrest one or two people, but they are like, not the big people, not the big shot, not the people who are actually responsible. When you have like a scapegoat, right? So they just decide, okay, well, let's arrest this person and try to investigate, and so that the public shuts up. But nothing has happened. And what we know is that there's this, apparently there was this ammonium nitrate, which was stored in the port in a very unsafe way. And it's been there for 6 years. So since 2014, where it came to Beirut. And for the past 6 years, there have been people begging basically those in charge to remove that material. They're saying, this is very dangerous. This is high explosives. This is flammable. Please remove it. Please remove it. And no one's doing anything about it until 6 p.m. and it completely went out.
It's a complete disaster from there.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy because I read on an article that it says that the president is actually saying that the explosion might have been caused by a bombing from, I don't know, a terrorist or whatever.
There's always this like the chance to, like, whenever something like this happens, okay, everyone will start blaming everyone else, so they will say, I didn't know that there was ammonium nitrate, or Israel bombed us, or a terrorist attack, or something like that. So there's always but even if it was like just so you understand where the public is right now. So we have been through like this war with Israel for 40 years now. And we've been bombed by Israel before, and we've had stuff happen. So we are aware of this, and it is a possibility. But everyone, like from the public and the riots that happened after the explosion, is aware that even if it was a hit by Israel, we still hold our own government responsible, because the fact that they hit that area, because Israel, whenever they used to bomb places in Lebanon, they always bomb them strategically, and they usually are military locations, or like, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Hezbollah and the terrorist groups and stuff like that we have, but they would bomb those areas. So not civilian areas. We even in 2006 we were under attack, and I was living there, and I remember there would be planes passing by during the day where they would throw flyers at certain areas. And if you pick up a flyer, which I picked up personally, it would say that this is from Israel, that we are from Israel, telling civilians, don't be in this area from like 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. because we will be bombing you, like that. So because those would be strategic areas, and they don't want to kill everyone, so they would like stay away from
civilians
that area.
Are innocent.
Exactly. They don't know, no civilians are attacked. So the fact that they would attack such a civilian area with such devastating effect on it, first doesn't sound like them, but let's say it was. The topic is that they knew that there is a highly explosive material in that area. So the fact that that material exists there is 100% on our government. It's not going to be blamed on someone else. This is our fault, basically. So that's
because it was like inviting trouble already. It was prone to an
exactly inviting trouble. Exactly, because see, once you go deeper into this material, you realize that this material is used to make weapons. So this is not just like, because ammonium nitrate have different types of, like, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there's a percentage in it once you study it, once you chemically know what it's made of. And if it's below 30%, it would be used as fertilizer. Whereas if it's above 30%, it's used in rocket launchers and in manufacturing of bombs and stuff like that. And this material, it was above 30%. So the purpose of it was to make bombs, was to make rockets. So it definitely was weaponized or needed to be weaponized. And the fact that they would hit that area or would just completely store highly explosive areas, material in that area is alone unethical and should be illegal.
Yeah. So ever since that explosion, we've read on the news that the Prime Minister has actually stepped down.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
That's
so
right.
what do you think? Yeah. What do you think would be the ideal solution for the country in terms of like how the government should be reformed?
Well, just so you guys know that the Prime Minister stepping down doesn't mean anything, because the Prime Minister stepping down is sort of like a theater play. We understand these games that they play. So he is simply a sort of like a puppet in the real government that runs Lebanon. So him stepping down is just a way to absorb the riots that have happened in the streets and to tell people, see, look, we're doing something. Look, the Prime Minister stepped down. But it's literally nothing. Like, even when he stepped down, people were like, yeah, you think we're going to buy this? Like, we've been through this a million times. So this is like, we're not going to stop. There's actually another protest planned 2 days from now. We know that it's nothing. So ideally is a really, like, it's a very big word that we kind of don't have too much hope for anymore, because we've been trying to change the system in Lebanon since I was 15 years old. Like, this is 20 years ago. And of course, ideally is for the entire cabinet to resign. We're talking the president, the prime minister, the head of the parliament, and everyone who is under them, because all these people they come from different political parties and different sects, religious sects, but they all work together. So you have this kind of idea where we think we have democracy and we think we have freedom of choice to choose whether we want this political party or that political party, but it's all the same because they're all on it together, and they kind of all protect each other. And if someone fails at some point, the others will come and protect them. And in Lebanon, we have a sectarian system in the government that was put in place in order to stop the civil war, because our civil war was religious in nature. So it wasn't just ideologic or anything like that. So we had, like, if you're a Christian, you are killing a Muslim. And if you're a Muslim, you are killing another one. And it's literally, you would die based on your ID and what it says. We used to have IDs that said what my religion is on it. Like, it's that sectarian in Lebanon. And during that civil war, like, if you would pass a roadblock made by regular people, not even like the government or anything, and they would be like, show me your ID, what's your religion? And if I'm Christian, for example, and he's a Muslim, normal that he would shoot me in the head right there and then. And same thing goes for Christians and Muslims as well. So Christians kill a lot of Muslims, Muslims kill a lot of Christians. It was like an insane religious war. So in 1990, the Arab countries got together along with some European countries like France and Germany and stuff. And they said, okay, so we need to stop this because it has been happening for 15 years. And we need to put this sectarian law in which always, so that everyone has representation in the government and no one feels that, they're being repressed or oppressed or whatever, that the president is always a Christian, the prime minister is always a Muslim Sunni, and the head of parliament is always a Muslim Shia, which is a different sect. And it's been like this, but this actually has caused more problems than it has solved. So
Because of the religious war.
Because of the religious war, and because they are always the same people who are always there. So it's not like you get people who are qualified for the job. It's like, what's your qualification to become the president? Well, I'm Christian. Oh, okay, then. Okay, go ahead. You can become president. Like there is no qualification. What did you study? Not zero completely. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's not based on the capabilities of the person, of the individuals.
No. Yeah. Like imagine it on a racial level. So someone is telling you that the president will always be like black, the prime minister will always be Asian, the head of will always be Arab, like that. So it's like, okay, what else can you provide? Nothing. It's just literally how I was born. That's it. There's nothing else as qualifications. So yeah.
So even though the government, the people are asking for the government to change, eventually everything is just gonna repeat itself like a vicious cycle.
Oh yeah. Yes. We keep asking for change and we keep getting the same thing. Even if different people, different faces show up, but it doesn't matter because they follow the same stuff. So they have the same political parties behind them, the same ideologies. So nothing's changing.
So is the riot now trying to abolish this whole system? Or
yes, definitely.
It's still currently ongoing?
Well, I mean, it's ongoing to an extent because first, there's after the explosion and the riots in the streets, there was a whole rise in the for the pandemic and the coronavirus and all that. So that also is coming into play, and that forced the health minister to kind of put everyone on lockdown for 2 weeks because the numbers rose exponentially. And it became because Lebanon was dealing with the whole pandemic actually better than most countries. They didn't have too many cases. Things were okay because when the first the pandemic hit, and like I think there was the first patient came into Lebanon, and they realized they immediately closed the airport. Like no one is coming in anymore. For like 2 months or something. Nothing was leaving. Nothing was coming in. So they were able to contain it, but the world is trying to open back up and all that. And now because of the riots and because of what happened, there was a whole rise. It spiked. So now people are trying to stay safe while maintaining, a kind of like a virtual protest or some riot going on social media or something like that. But they keep asking for new ones. So like on September 1, there's going to be a new riot happening. Yeah.
So we're making use of the internet we have now to.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's like the best thing. Yeah.
It's lucky we have the internet now.
Oh, I love it. Like imagine, like now I'm just sitting talking to you guys. I've never met you before. We don't know. So it's kind of like really awesome how.
Right.
Yeah. It's like people don't get their news from news channels anymore, right? Like if you just open up, like I think Cha was telling me that there's only so much you can know from online, from the news channels. Okay, something happened in Beirut, there was an explosion, something, but to get to the bottom, to understand, like you have to talk to people, right? So yeah,
there's the power of internet that we're able to do this now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so back to the explosion. I understand that the other countries are coming in to help with the current situation. Am I right?
Yes. The international support has been really, overwhelming and heartwarming to an extent because we felt for the first time in a long time that we are not alone, because we've had bad stuff happen before, but the way everyone came together in this was really like overwhelming. I could see the reactions online, and it was good. However, we are definitely asking all the international support that everyone is begging any country or anyone who is people who are creating funds and to help and all that, not to give the money to the government, because no one trusts the government. So people are like, just give the money to non-profit organization. Make sure you're talking to the people themselves who is taking the money that we're receiving and all that. Just don't help the government or like the Ministry of Defense or the Ministry of Health. Or don't do that, because we don't trust them. They're going to take the money for themselves, so.
I read that on articles. Yeah, they were saying that banks have been shutting down and the government is actually preventing the citizens from withdrawing their own money. Is that true?
Yeah, that actually is it's a problem on its own that happened before the explosion. So yeah, that to add to everything Lebanon has been going through, we've had a very, very bad economic recession happen since last October. So and we're being subject to sanctions put on us by the US and others. There's also like other political games, so we don't have a lot of currency, like the actual liquid currency, and because of that, the banks are not allowing people to withdraw money. If it's because in Lebanon the system is that we use two currencies. It's been put like this since forever, and I don't know why, and it's really hurt us because we use our currency, the Lebanese pound, and we use the US dollar. So we have two currencies circulating in the inside the country, and now there's not enough US dollars anymore. Like the papers themselves, we don't have. So there's been this complete shutdown and on the entire economy, and the banks don't allow people to withdraw like more than 100 or 200 US dollars per week, which is nothing.
Yeah.
So that alone is a problem. And now that people around the world are sending in help, like they are trying to figure out how we're going to receive it as well. So not only like do we want the money not to go to government, but also when you send it, how are we going to receive it? Because we don't even have access to the money that's in the bank accounts.
Yeah, especially so with the inflation, with the amount of limited money that you can withdraw, how are you going to be able to buy food products and stuff?
Yep, exactly.
It's crazy how we're hearing that a government and the people who are ruling over Lebanon can be so corrupt as compared to Singapore, where we complain over the smallest things. So can you give some examples?
I've heard some complaints, and to me, it's like when I see complaints from other countries, especially like Singapore and these, like to us these what you guys live is the dream. You know what I mean? Like we don't even have that. It's not even in our reality. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes but that's when it comes to what standards you have, right? So it's like everyone will look at the higher standard and see, oh, they are doing so much better or something. But like, what do you guys complain about, so that I get an idea, for example?
I think it was sound very
really
ridiculous.
small things.
Yeah, no, tell me. It's okay. Anything.
I mean, because of the COVID pandemic that hit us, maybe the more current complaints that we have is actually from the food and beverage industry, where they are not getting enough funding because their businesses can't run because of COVID. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we'll complain about how the government support that we are receiving now is not fair. Yeah, so these are the small things that we actually complain about.
So did the COVID-19 affect the economy there? Like, is it a big hit, or was it handled okay?
It was handled by the government in a way that they actually provided relief support, like through monetary means, and let's say in terms of rental, they are actually providing help. Yeah, but some businesses aren't able to sustain with the help that we are receiving. Yeah, so these are just some small complaints that we're asking more from the government. Especially how COVID actually impacted us in a way that there was a big cluster formed due to them mishandling the domestic workers in our country. The migrant workers. That's right. Yeah, so these are just some of the complaints that we have in Singapore.
Yeah, okay. I think the migrant thing, because where I live now in Bahrain, we also have that issue when it comes to the migrant workers, because those were the areas where COVID wasn't able to be contained, as opposed to like local and stuff like that. And the government here also helped small businesses and stuff. So for example, my business, the coffee shop, I received help from the government in order to stay in business. But I think, like you said, that COVID affected anyway the small businesses a lot more than the big ones, because there is no money or any kind of capital to support something like this. So hopefully it will all end soon, and we'll go back to normal.
Hopefully we'll see the end soon. 2020 is just not starting out, and we're like midway through and it's just getting worse.
Oh yeah. It just doesn't finish.
Yeah, so speaking
Yeah.
about government, I'm just very interested in how corrupt actually is the Lebanese government, because it's just hard to imagine, and hearing all
Mm.
these inputs from you just sound really unreal. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just have some examples of
Like
how they
you
have
could
been.
think like, I think maybe this guy, doesn't support the government. That's why, he's against them so much,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it can't be really bad. I'll tell you how bad it is. Okay. And I gave this example
Yeah.
in another interview that someone did. You
Mm,
know how, for example, in other countries, when someone from the government wants to do something which is illegal, let's say he wants to embezzle, he wants to take money, do something illegal, he has to do it
Mm.
in ways so that other people in the government don't know that he did it, right? So he goes through channels, he tries to do it illegally, he bribes one person, something like that, and maybe he will get away with it. In Lebanon, it's so corrupt that they don't even need to do that. That everyone is so in on it, including the police, including the law, the judges and the lawyers and stuff, that like if someone does something illegal to me, like I'll give you this example, okay? So I'm driving down the street and there is this, let's say some big shot, let's say a minister is passing by. And you know how when ministers drive in the streets or anything, they have, like a motorcade with them, right? So you have the bikers, you have cars protecting them, bodyguards and stuff like that.
yep.
So let's say I do something that I get, face to face with one of the bodyguards and he comes and hits me. Like he hits me in front of everyone or kills me or does something illegal, which has happened, by the way. So I'm giving actual examples of people who have suffered this. So let's say someone does this to someone else. There is no one to go and complain to that this happened. So I can't even go to the police and tell them that someone did this to me because the police is with them. So they'll just tell me, yeah, good, okay, good for you. Go home. There's nothing I can do for you. Like, there's nothing you can do. There's no one to go and complain to. Like, look, this person is doing something illegal. Yeah. So basically, just to give you that example, which is, it's so corrupt that everyone is in on it. There is no one who wants to do the right thing other than the public. So, like I said, there is no one to complain to, no one to go and tell, look what this government official did, look what this minister did, everything. And we've heard rumors about money that has been transferred out of Lebanon for the past 20 years from our government people. And it's within the hundreds of billions of US dollars. Numbers that while the country is actually like in recess and we have debts on us and all the problems that we have, our government people just completely are filthy rich, like numbers which we can't even comprehend how rich they are. Because all they do is just completely take all the money for themselves. They don't fix. We don't have good infrastructure. We don't have good healthcare system. We don't have good educational system. Nothing, basically nothing.
Are they helping you all in any way with the restoration efforts after the explosion, or no effort is done at all?
Not from the government. People have volunteered. Like you have these different non-profit organizations. You have scouts. You have small what do you call, like healthcare workers and stuff like that. Like they're all volunteers. No one is like, even my mom told me this 2 days ago. She told me, so she got someone to actually come and fix the windows for her. Right. So it took a while and everything, but she was able to restore things. And she said that while people were working on the balcony, trying to, put everything back together, she saw a group of 7 to 8 around 28-year-olds, 20 to 23 years old, kids who were like, oh, like you were damaged. Can we come up and talk to you? And my mom was like, sure, okay, come up. So they came up the building. She lives on the second floor. And they were like, do you need any help? We are giving food. If you need something, we have this box. Do you need money? Do you need anything like that? Now, no, it's good. My mom is well off. So she was like, no, it's okay. I don't need food. Give it to someone else who might need it or anything. But these are just like, normal people, like every day, like you and me and everyone, just going around, gathering from their own money, their own pockets, getting food, walking around the streets, who has damage in his house, who might need help, stuff like that. So it's like people taking care of themselves and of their own. nothing from the government. Like, imagine how bad it is that they would, when buildings collapsed because of the explosion, okay, you would have like the government sent their workers to help with the rubbles, right? Like they want to remove everything, the stones, look for people who are dead. When it gets nighttime, which is like when the sun sets around 7 p.m., they stop working because there's no light. Like our shift is over. We're going to go home. We'll come back tomorrow. And people are like buried under, like you could actually, some would hear them screaming from under the rubble and everything. It's like, and they would be like, no, you know what? My shift ended. I'm going to go. And the people who are there, like the public, would stay and they would say how they would use their phone, the light on their phone, just to kind of like look around, because there's no electricity, there's nothing. You're talking like complete darkness, and they would start like, shedding light. Like, do you see anything there? And they would remove, broken cement and stones and stuff to kind of pick up people from under, until morning comes. And then when the morning comes, the other people come, like from the government. Hey, we're back. Okay, now we're gonna help. It's like, this is a disaster. Like, people should be, like working 24 hours for this. Not like that. It's not a job. It's not a daytime job. So it's that bad. And there's nothing you can do. Who do you go to? There's no one to go to. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, we understand the riots are there to throw the government out of parliament and everything. But even if they leave, who will be the ones that the people who are trying to bring up the power? Who are you all looking to lead?
Well, I mean, this is a bit of an issue because there is no leader to our protest or riots or stuff like that. So it's not like there is someone who's moving things behind the scenes and someone wants to benefit. So it's kind of like just the public in the street, just, rioting. That's it. Just, we don't want you. Now, the end goal of this, we know that our political system is too complicated and our situation in the Middle East is too complicated. So whoever is in power in our country is not in power just like that. There is a very big political plan for the Middle East. You have countries in power who put these pieces, you know what I mean? Like, someone's going to be in Lebanon. Someone's going to be in Syria. So like there's a whole plan going on that we've become very used to something like this. So our aim is to put so much pressure on the international, like committee or something, for them to interfere and do something about it. This is the goal of it. So we've had a visit from the French president who came like 2 days after the explosion happened, and he was walking in the streets and everything and checking up. And he said he's going to come back September 1, I think, which is why, now that I think about it, which is why there's a protest to kind of show him that things, we're not happy and all that. But basically the point of the riots and the protests are to get the international, mindset to kind of intervene in Lebanon and do like, okay, we have to do something about Lebanon. We have to put some pressure, some sanctions, something like that, in order for change to happen. We have people who we believe will be good. Like for example, we know that this person who used to be like the coach of the Lebanese basketball team, who's now very old, like he could be good as our, like sports minister, something like that. Or someone who's an artist, she would be good. She's like this director who was nominated for an Oscar or something. She would be good for our arts minister, or, stuff like that. So we have people who we believe that, at least there's a change. But for now, we just want the attention. We just want the world to know that things are not okay. We cannot be quiet about this anymore. That's why everyone's in the street. And that's why I'm calling them riots and not protests, because we want violence, basically. We want to make a statement. We have to be loud. We can no longer just be like, we're protesting in the street and, we're not happy. No, it's like, look, we're burning things. We're going to destroy cars and buildings and stuff because we can no longer handle this life like that.
How's the government actually reacting to all these riots? Are they using the police to stop?
Definitely. The police, there is force. They're shooting water, rubber bullets at us. There were some kind of hints that there might be some live ammo used in one of the riots that happened. But no one actually died. But there were people who were injured and stuff like that. But when you're dealing with a group of people who have nothing to lose anymore, like we're not, they're not afraid anymore. Like for me, I wish this whole pandemic was not there so I can travel there and join them in the street and, like fight with them and everything, because khalas, you feel like you can no longer stay quiet about it. You need to do something.
Are the airports still closed?
It's actually like an hour, 2 hours flight from where I live now. So it's really close, Beirut, to where I am. Yeah, but I can't go because of the lockdown and everything. Yeah.
So I've heard about the group called Hezbollah. So do they have an impact on the political situation as well?
Hezbollah is the political system in Lebanon. Is the political system. It's not the impact, it's them. There is no one else. Because it's up to them who gets appointed in different places in the government. They have weapons, heavy weapons. We're not talking like guns or machine guns. We're talking tanks and anti-aircrafts. So, and money and stuff. So even if our government wants to do the right thing, they can't, because Hezbollah is in charge. You know what I mean? So, and our army cannot fight Hezbollah's army, because that would lead to another civil war. And no one wants that. So it's like the entire country is being choked because of the presence of Hezbollah. And they don't have the support that perhaps other countries think that they have. Like most Lebanese don't want Hezbollah. They don't want a war with Israel. They don't want to do anything with Syria. They just want peace. Just leave us alone. That's it. We just want to live. And Hezbollah's grasp on the government, on the military, on weapons, on everything, because there's actually, the rumor is, it's not sure yet, so we cannot really blame, but the ammonium nitrate that was in the port actually is for Hezbollah. It was there. They put it there in order to manufacture weapons. So, because what happened was that the ship, it was a Russian ship that brought the ammonium nitrate in 2014. A Russian ship came and stopped at the port of Lebanon, and it had the ammonium nitrate. Something happened which is too complicated. I'm not going to get into it. But basically, we took all this ammonium nitrate and we put it on Lebanese soil. Okay. Now, the amount from all the paperwork that we've seen and we've researched and everything, is that the amount of ammonium nitrate that was on the ship was 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate. 2,700 tons, which is an unbelievable number. All right. Now, experts have said that if that amount had exploded, if that's the full amount that actually exploded, then it wouldn't have made this destruction. It would have wiped Lebanon off the map completely. Like it would have been worse than an actual nuclear bomb. So the estimate is that only 300 tons of ammonium nitrate exploded, which means that for the past 6 years, people have been sneaking this ammonium nitrate out of the port. It have been used. So when you start to follow the path, you understand that Hezbollah is the one who has ordered this nitrate, put it in the port in a very dangerous place, and has been using it for the past 6 years until it exploded now. So that's the whole thing. So yeah.
Oh, wow. That's wow.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because from what I read is that there are supporters of Hezbollah. There are people who treat them like heroes. And
they are, but they have lost a lot of their supporters over the years. The thing is with Hezbollah, it's more on a religious level. So not supporting them would be going against religion. You know what I mean? Because their presence is to not just fight off Israel on a political level or just, for my geographical level. It's because there is an end goal on a religious level. So basically people who like Hezbollah use this to kind of tell people that, if you're not with me, you're against God, that you're going to go to hell when you die. So you have to support me. But over the years, people have become more aware and they've grown tired and, sick of this life, and they've lost their supporters. So they no longer have the public support they once had.
Okay, Dana, I believe you want to ask about the Kafala system.
Yeah, I actually read up about the Kafala system, also known as the sponsorship system.
Okay.
Do you know about that?
Not sure. Let me know what it is. So maybe the name is a bit different.
Yeah, because I read on articles that the Kafala system is actually, there are laws imposed where the hirers of domestic workers actually have control of the lives of these domestic workers, and they are trying to abolish this system right now because it's unfair to the migrant workers that you have over there. So this is also one of the ongoing riot that's happening in Beirut, right?
Actually, this thing came into the light more after the economic problem that Lebanon was suffering with the US dollar and all that, because migrant workers, they need to get paid in a foreign currency, like in the US dollar, so that they can send it back home to their families, right? So this is the system, and people were not able to pay them anymore. Now, this brought a more of a social problem that we do have in Lebanon, which is a kind of like let's say a migrant worker come and let's say a woman, she comes from the Philippines, for example, because our migrant workers, they come from Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Ethiopia, from Africa. All right. This is the biggest demographic. And Lebanon allows, for example, for me, let's say I have like a Filipina lady, she comes and she's going to work at home as a nanny, for example, for my kid. I could take her passport from her. It's fine. And a lot of people abuse that. A lot of people I know don't do that because they're not, bad people, but a lot of people abuse that, and it's really bad because they end up not paying them, and they end up they can't even leave the country or go somewhere else or something. So it's kind of like a modern day slavery. You know what I mean? That's happening. Yeah. And those migrant workers, they no longer accept it anymore also. So once the money was cut off, once they couldn't get paid anymore because of the crisis, okay, and they couldn't leave, and COVID-19 also came in and made it even worse as well. Now they are rioting as well. Like they would go in front of let's say the Ethiopian embassy, and they would stand there and riot, and this is not normal anymore. We cannot handle it. But although that's I definitely would want something like this, right? Like, within human rights, because I'm against anything that is when you take away someone's freedom. It's unethical. It should be illegal. Yeah. The thing is that even locals, like even Lebanese locals, we don't have human rights. You know what I mean? So it's do this, but don't hope too much, because we've been protesting as well. Everyone wants a better life, locals and immigrants. Yeah. So yeah.
It just sounds so much like this whole 45 minutes just sound like there's many problems that actually rounds up to the entire political unrest that's happening.
Just an advice, don't go into Lebanese politics too much, because it's so convoluted and complicated. Like the information I have in my head, I don't want it. It's been all my life embedded in me. So it's horrible.
It's like. Yeah, as I research on what's happening in Beirut right now, it just uncovers more and more stories.
Exactly.
That's happening over.
The more you research, the more you find layers and layers and layers.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe after all these things that we've discussed, maybe you can tell us what are some organizations that we can trust to actually make donations to that will actually help the Lebanese people.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the biggest groups that I keep recommending to everyone is the Lebanese Red Cross. So the Red Cross is the most trusted, and I know people who personally, I know them who are part of that group. They are all volunteers. There is no government penetration in it anyway at all. And any money that anyone would ask me, I would say this is the number one group, because they are the ones who help families with food, providing shelter, providing medical assistance, even reimbursing people who have, paid from their own pocket to rebuild Like my mom, for example, like with her windows and stuff like that, like she could take the receipt and go to them and tell them, see, this is how much I paid. And they would like give her a percentage back, like 10%, 20%, which is like whatever, anything, you know? So they are the Lebanese Red Cross is the most trustworthy
organization. Okay.
Definitely. Nothing government, nothing ever.
Yeah. Okay, to end things off, I want to ask you if every government official that is in a powerful country is listening to this podcast. So what would be a message that you and the Lebanese people would want to tell them to do to help with Lebanon as we are going through so many different types of problems and so many different types of crises? What is something that you would tell them, and what is something that they can do to aid the people in Lebanon?
Well, I think at this stage it would be to actually interfere in Lebanon and do it where there is no political gain for them. I know that's a very, very far-fetched idea, because in politics, everyone's looking for their own, their personal gain from it, or political gain, which is understandable. But if we can just say that, okay, everything that happened so far with Lebanon, that, okay, no problem, all the money that was taken, all the political problems, everything, you know what, it's fine. We don't even want to prosecute these people. Just get them out of Lebanon. You know what I mean? Like, just help us remove this ruling group of elite people who cannot get enough. Like we will even forgive you for all the money you took from us, all the lives that we have lost, everything. Just, it's fine. You know what I mean? Just, okay, you got to take it and leave. Just leave. This is basically so I would wish, like, if any political power would just help us with this aspect, just come into Lebanon, help the ruling elite leave the country and look at the people, hear what they want, listen to our problems, because 90% of people in Lebanon just want to live in peace. We love life. We're kind of known in the Middle East area and even in Europe and stuff about how much the nightlife in Lebanon is so alive and so vivid. And we're just people who have been through so much. Like, I was born during the Civil War, and I left 10 years ago because I had to take care of my own family and my son and everything. And I know who's left there, my friends, my family, and everyone just wants to be happy. We just want to live. That's it. We don't want to interfere in other people's problems. We don't want any religious stuff. We just want to be a nice civil country. Just kind of like, let us be happy. Let us live. That's it, basically.
Okay. So before we go, do you want to tell the listeners about what are channels where you can tune into your podcast and get to know more about you and your stories?
Oh, yeah, sure. So basically, mostly it's on my Instagram page, where the page itself is promoting the podcast, but I also make posts and stuff like that. So I want to create this kind of community. So it's not just a podcast on its own. So if you go to Instagram and type Paradigm Shift Podcast, these three words, my page would show up, and that's where basically all my channels are in like, for example, like where you can listen to my podcast, Spotify, Apple, or I have a YouTube channel as well, and the page itself where I discuss certain topics, and like I write some small posts every day about different things, like what movie I recommend in order to help you, spiritually, what kind of thoughts to go, books to read, stuff like that. So that's where most of the work goes, into my Instagram page.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of the episode. Remember to follow us and Sergio, of course, on Instagram and all his other channel. Subscribe if you are on YouTube and be updated on our upcoming episodes. So once again, thank you so much for taking your time to join us on this episode, Sergio.
And thank you so much for actually contacting me and wanting to know more and stuff like that. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yep. I hope one day we'll be able to meet face to face when everything boils over. Yeah.
Singapore is on my list, by the way. Like, I want to do a whole Far East travel. So definitely Singapore is on the list. Yeah, I'll be in contact with you guys.
Yeah, that's great.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much all for listening to another episode of Two Curious Podcasts, and we'll see you again next episode. Stay safe and stay curious. Bye-bye.
Bye.